Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to the Sex and Suicide podcast. We're doing something a little special this evening. You might remember these two guys. Scott Milne, IFBB Pro. IFBB Pro. Professional bodybuilder, has quite a story for you. He was on a podcast just a couple weeks ago. And Paulie O'Byrne as well. And he's the founder of 1 in 5, which is
a mental health organization. But we should switch. I should be the bodybuilder pro.
Okay.
And he should be the 1 in 5 guy. Because I think I'm comparing with his arms.
I'm trying
to the beat.
Yeah, there you go. So apparently this just turned into a flex off. But the reason that we're here with you this evening is, first of all, for some of you that don't know what Sex and Suicide, the podcast, is, let me explain that a little bit. So the reason that we're focusing on those two things in particular, sex, we want to make sure that people understand that we want to encourage sex positive and basically eliminate all stigmas. The same thing with suicide. We're not encouraging suicide. We want people to learn positive and healthy mental health.
Healthy behaviors all around. Right?
Healthy behavior all around. And the reason why we're using the word suicide is just because we need to, again, it's getting rid of the stigma. This is something that we need to talk about. So the timing couldn't have been perfect for this because I'm with two other gentlemen that are totally open and honest with talking about mental health and some of the experiences that they've gone through. And for all of you that are out there watching this new TV show that seems to be all the craze called 13 Reasons Why, it's brought up a few things that, including suicide attempts and suicide, I guess you followed through, sexual assault, drug use. And these are all things that between the three of us, we can all share our experiences about. We've all been through one or the other. I don't think between the three of us there's a drug we haven't tried. So there's lots of, even though that show is out there and that show is making an impact, it's got an impression on the younger generations and it's talking about people that are going through high school experience. Well, your school is going to come to an end shortly. Same with university. You're finishing exams right now. We feel that the timing for this is perfect because we're going to be trying to do a cognitive behavioral therapy course for the next 15 weeks. So we're going to be talking about what depression and anxiety are and what stress and other things in the realm of mental health. And we're going to be following a Lucinda Bassett course that's called Attacking Stress, Anxiety, and Depression. And we're basically, here it is, right here. So you guys don't have to go out and buy the course. It is a good course. I have taken it. It is what got me off of my anti-anxiety medication once upon a time. But I'll show you what we're going to be doing for the next 15 weeks. So this week we're just going to be sort of introducing ourselves, giving a little bit of a background on who we are. You can always tune in to either Scott's podcast or Paulie's podcast. You can find that on our YouTube channel on the Sex and Suicide podcast. Next week we're going to be talking about anxiety and depression, symptoms, causes, and common fears. Week number 2, we're going to be talking about 6 steps designed to put an end to panic attacks. Week number 3, we're going to be talking about self-talk and the key to a healthy self-esteem. Week number 4, we're going to be talking about expectations, how to expect less and get more. Week number 5, which is where Scott's expertise will really come in, is how to eat and exercise to minimize anxiety and depression.
Wendy's, McDonald's.
Fast food all around.
Yeah.
Session number 6, stop being angry and control your mood swings. I'm sure we've all had anger and mood swings amongst us. Session number 7, assertive behavior, speak confidently, gain respect. Week number 8, we're going to be putting an end to what-if thinking. Week number 9, we're going to be getting off the guilt and worry treadmill. Week number 10, how to address obsessive, scary thoughts. Week number 11, anxiety and depression, a candid dialogue about medication and alcohol. We'll talk about drugs in that session as well. Session number 12 is the courage to change. Session number 13 is time management, 12 steps towards a balanced life. Session number 14, how to keep stress from becoming anxiety. And in the final week, we're going to talk about getting beyond a growth spurt. So this is the next 15 weeks. We're going to be following, again, this is from the Midwest Center. It's a Lucinda Bassett program, Attacking Anxiety and Depression. And we're not going to be doing the total program. We're just basically going to be, the three of us, listening to each of the topics, listening to the experts, and then kind of implementing the things that we've gone through in our own experience hoping to share that with other people. And I think the big thing here is we have, 3 strong, I like to think I'm strong, I know you're strong, yeah. But the end goal here is, yes, we want to be a place where students can come and always rely on us for support and to come on and talk about their own story. Yes, we want to be a place where men can go to open up and see, hey, just because you're strong on the outside, you can still have a lot of work to do in here. And it's okay to talk about these things. So I think between the 3 of us, our real goal is to get men talking. And I know, is there anything that you want to see come from this, Paulie?
Probably less stigma.
Less stigma?
I think that's a good way, is if we just keep talking, 3 dudes talking about mental illness is a reduction in stigma. And like I always say, I'm sick of going to funerals, and the thing that kills is stigma.
Right.
And so I think this is a good way at reducing stigma, is just talking with the boys, right?
Sure. And that's what this is about. I mean, you're going to hear all of us talking the same way. And what is the one message that you think out of this? What do you want people to get from all of this? Just 3 guys sitting around talking about mental health.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me a part of this.
Of course.
Actually really excited to go through this course. When you're reading off all the chapters at 15 weeks, I'm excited to see what it brings up in my own life, and to kind of revisit some of the things that I learned through rehab, and just for my own self.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
It'll be an emotional journey for me, but in general, I think it's just going to be helpful to get the message out there that everybody's hurting. Right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. It doesn't matter if you're a man, that you don't have to put on this,
the shield.
The armor. I'm big. Nothing can hurt me. I don't cry. Any of that. Show your emotions. Tell your story. Everybody's been hurt. Everyone's gone through something, and it's okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
sure, you grow from it, right? I think that we all. I'm curious to see what happens here, because we've all been kind of brought together from different backgrounds, all from just starting this podcast, and it's really exciting to see 3 guys with some really fucked up stories, to be totally honest, come together to try to do some good with that, and to try to have people learn from our mistakes, as well as grow. And I think we're all going to grow together. I'm excited for that as well.
Yeah, me too.
But when we go moving forward, we also want you guys to know that you can reach out to us at the end of every session. We will be sort of live on these cameras. We will turn the camera around. We're going to kind of get through the material, and then if there's anything you want to ask each one of us, we'll turn it around and give you guys a chance to reach out, to talk to us, or if you'd prefer to message us in private, each one of us is open to dealing with that. I think that it's really important to discuss some of the statistics right now. And one of the major things, and a common misbelief, is that the rates are highest over the holidays, over sort of December and Christmas. And that's actually not true. That's when depression is at its highest. But suicide, we're kind of approaching the high time in suicide. It's actually sort of mid-August to end of August, where going into autumn, they're actually calling it sort of, what was it, suicide season. Suicide season.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So the highest point for suicide is actually while students and kids are away from school during the summer months at the end of the holidays. So hopefully, for anyone that's struggling right now, if you stay with us, by the end of these 15 weeks, maybe we can change your mind, and hopefully, maybe change the way that you think.
Yeah.
So again, I mean, we're just going to be going through bits and pieces. So this is a Coles Notes version of the program, and we're not I'm endorsing this not because we get paid to do so, because I went through this program and I found it worked for me. You guys haven't taken it, so these are just other guys to kind of stand behind it. Other than that, I think I'm excited to get going. So do you want to... Let's sort of introduce ourselves. So if you guys don't know, we're on 3 different avenues right now. We're on the Sex and Suicide podcast. We're on Scott's IFBB pro page. And we're on Paulie's 1 and 5 page. So, Paulie, why don't you share a little bit about your story? We're not going to do the whole podcast, but Cole's Notes version for everyone so they know who you are.
So, thanks so much, Shawn, for even just hanging out with me talking about mental illness.
Of course,
right? I think that's so cool that 2 guys, even 3 guys, can talk about this stuff and not feel vulnerable and not feel like we're weaker than or less than.
Yeah, man. You're
I think that's awesome, and I love that we've created a friendship from our devastation, right?
Sure,
and that's the reason that we all came here.
Yeah.
For me, I grew up not knowing anything about mental illness until I was sexually abused at the age of 21 and changed everything for me. Like started with self-harm, I got into alcohol dependency and drug dependency, and that kind of led me down a path that I didn't even really know existed. I didn't know that I would ever live in my car. I didn't ever know that I would jam a heroin needle in my arm, especially after playing competitive hockey for most of my youth.
Right.
And then through the grace of God, I think, and a ton of love and support, I got clean 3 years ago. And
good for you, buddy.
I've spoken
That's
across Canada.
It's
the longest that I've ever done. It's the longest I've been sober since I was 13. So
good for you.
I just keep on going with this train, and it's blossomed into this crazy speaking adventure. I've spoken from like Victoria, BC, all the way to Ottawa, and
awesome.
I just keep planning on doing that. I'm not ashamed of my story at all, or
good.
what I've been through.
Yeah, and so I think, look what Paulie. I mean, Paulie, you were obviously rock bottom, and you stayed with us. And look at the positive lives that you're changing.
Yeah,
the positive things that you're doing.
Pretty surreal.
You're having fun doing it, right?
I'm having a good time doing it.
So anybody that's in that dark place right now, look at Paulie for hope, and look at me and Scott for hope as well. And on that note, let's hear about Scott. How did we condense 2 hours from the podcast?
There's still more to go.
Yeah, Scott's.
Mine all blends together.
It does,
right?
Yeah.
It all starts off. But I mean, come from a good family, youngest of 5 kids. We're all competitive sports and stuff. I got into working out in bodybuilding when I was 13. So I competed when I turned 21. I won heavyweights and overalls for level 1, level 2, level 3. Then I did the Canadians, got my pro card, and went to do my first pro show. And a week out from that, I was in a horrible car accident where I almost died. I was bedridden for 6 to 8 months. They said I'd never work out again, and I was supposed to be probably in a wheelchair or dead.
Yeah.
And I got back on stage a year later.
Amazing.
But that's where the addiction started, because I started, I was on pain meds, so I started with Percocets on that. And that was my first bout of depression, because I lost my contract for the supplement company, so I had no income.
Right.
Thought I would never work out again. Right. So I didn't know who I was anymore. My identity had been taken. Who am I without bodybuilding, right? Who's just Scott Milne?
Yeah.
Without the bodybuilding attached to it. So that's what I've struggled to try to find my way since then, but led into a lot of addictions, partying, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, but the big thing now, that I want to get out through my story is just to be comfortable with it, not ashamed, like you said, Paulie. I was really ashamed when I came back to London, after getting my pro card. It was down in California, I was on TV shows, I was doing commercials and some movies and stuff, and then to come back and being arrested, drug addicts,
you kind of feel
really
your tails between your legs a little bit.
Wasn't feeling too good about myself, but I'm not ashamed of my past. It's who I am, and it's definitely helped me become a more empathetic person and well-rounded, and
perfect.
So I just want to pass that on and be compassionate and for other people, and give them a chance to talk about their story and help. Yeah,
awesome. And one of the main things that you want to get across when we spoke was that there's sort of, when you're going in and you're trying to put on all this body mass at the gym, it's sort of a facade. It's it's, you want to get across, look, build from the inside kind of out, and make sure that you find positive self-esteem elsewhere, and that's just kind of like a bonus, right?
Yeah. I guess I missed that part of it. The reason why I started bodybuilding is because emotionally I was not healthy,
right?
And I was kind of scared young little boy, and I saw the movie Arnold,
Commando.
Yeah. And I saw him walking out of the forest with the log on his arm.
That was a memorable scene.
I left that theater with my older brother, and in my head, I'm if I look like him, nothing will affect me. I won't be emotionally at harm, or feeling all these feelings I feel anymore. Right. So I got into working out, and that it never let me down, because whatever I put into it, I got back. So that way, there's the control part, right?
Right.
Who's always seemed to be let down by other people.